Hi, welcome to the Aftershow. YouTube.
Did you actually
What's
change
going
the
on?
screen so he knows where to break it?
No, but I'm sure Rick's watching. There we go.
Put a stream marker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put a stream marker. Do a thing. I don't know. Hi, anyway, hi, welcome to the Aftershow. This is public Aftershow because it's the end of the season. It's also live because we decided why not. So hi, everyone. Welcome to an Aftershow that's live. Any questions about that final episode?
Most important question, how much XP do we get?
You all get...
Yeah, I still have my character sheet open.
4
Yeah, same.
XP?
Alright, cool. I put 1 in resolve.
I can get another dot in resolve, which is the first time that has ever happened during the
so I'm
entirety of
gonna
this show.
put a point in attune because that seems good for those resistance rolls, and then
I'm
3
gonna-
points in my playbook.
I'm gonna put
put it in
1
insight when I get some more
prowess, so I level
survey.
up prowess, and then I'm gonna put 3 in resolve, so I level up
I
resolve.
just realized I don't roll enough resolve rolls to ever have a desperate resolve roll.
That was why I put mine in prowess.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's smart.
Like, I know I'll get a desperate prowess roll like 2 minutes in.
Yeah, there you go.
I also want to say for the record that the entire difficulty of the mission was a binary yes/no question about did you attack the thing?
Yeah, I was so on the line about that. I was
having to keep a blank face while also being like, if he does that, he dies.
Probably for the
right,
best that
exactly. I was
unconscious.
like,
Yeah.
this thing is thrashing around. It hasn't done anything stupid yet.
Yeah.
But I really want to kill it. Because
I wanted to
Papa's
stab it.
vicious. He might have just
Yes.
dived on it.
I was looking up. I don't have anything in skirmish or wreck, but I found out that I can backstab with finesse.
Yes. If things
So
aren't
I was
working,
going
you
behind.
backstab
I was
them.
like going behind it. I was like, I'm ready to stab this thing in the back.
I was
I
very
would've
much
said hurling grenades.
like I was doing the Marin, like she's gonna fight it, and if it tries to go after any of you, because she knows that like I don't think I can beat this thing, so I'm not gonna attack it without it attacking me. But she was like, I'm ready just in case. Which was why she was like, you all need to leave. I'm here. I'm fighting the Balrog.
What are the repercussions of there being 3 Marins now?
Oh my god, I love it.
So technically that
There are
thing
only
isn't a
2
Marin.
now.
It was just kind of
It's imprinted on her though.
riding with Marin. It
Yeah.
remembers
To be clear,
Marin.
there's only 1 Marin and 2 like pseudo copies of Marin.
So the Echo is a very
Yeah.
limited Marin because it's got very little to go off. It just remembers what it was like to be Marin at that moment. And it's been given permanence by having life, which has kind of given it the essence of a soul that it didn't have, which kind of makes it almost a ghost. It's very similar to a ghost.
It's
Um,
an imprint of Marin on the universe, which has become sentient.
Yeah.
Effectively, like it was vaguely sentient before, and that it can be sentient in its circumstance. You just gave it permanence by like giving it pure life. So technically, you now literally have a kind of almost a ghost Marin for as close as it matters. The other one is technically not a Marin. It was using
like a big
Marin's
Leviathan.
soul
Yeah.
to experience the world.
Yeah.
And it's people thought it was a Leviathan baby. Technically, for what I designed it for, it's not. It's actually just part of the Leviathan.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's like a partial part of a Leviathan.
Little like Leviathan hive mind.
That's why it didn't need to blink, because it was just made of Leviathan
Fondling.
goop.
I like it. Someone in chat was like, "Oh, it doesn't need to blink because Marin's eyes are still closed."
Oh, that was me. That was my
Yeah.
other theory. It's like,
Like,
it's both, it doesn't need to blink because it's made of Leviathan goop, and it doesn't need to because Marin doesn't feel like she needs to because her eyes are shut in reality.
That's horrifying.
Wow.
Thanks,
I know,
Bentham.
right? I loved it.
How many more Marins can we make now, though?
Well, we need one more, as Eva Welshman points out, so that we can have a barbershop quartet of Marins.
I could open another door and convince another one to come out, but we need
Yeah.
more essence.
We need more life essence for
I
it.
think each one needs to be a little bit unique. So
Yeah, that's fair.
maybe there's
I
some
guess I
sort
could
of-
like have a child. This is basically like half a
The thing
person.
is, like, I did not see the end bit coming. I was like, right, you open that door, it goes to echoes and memories and loops in the ghost
Put
field.
a
So
door in my way, EE, and the only other solution I have, because I'm not a tinkerer, is
I love it.
have a ghost key.
Mhm.
I love it.
And I was like,
It makes
okay,
sense.
yeah, you. I
When
guess
all you have is a ghost key,
guess
all
you go
doors
to a
look
memory-
like ghost doors.
a memory of the ship, and then the memory will be a memory that they cherish or is important. It's after they just got some plunder, so everyone important is there. Okay, obviously
I thought it
Marin's
was
there.
cool.
And
I
also,
loved it.
you were like, hey, I'm from the future. I was like, these are echoes, so they do break down. I guess it's going to start breaking down if you're successful, but also Marin is technically in the ghost field right now, holding a ghost field weapon. I guess they can see her, and then you were like, okay, I need to offer them some valuables. Like, cool, okay, it needs to be more valuable. You only have one thing that does that. Okay, I guess you hand it to them, and obviously the captain is not going to go for it. It's going to send a lackey. Marin's kind of that right rank, and she's a named NPC, okay. And I guess they look at it, and how'd they study it? Well, you sniff something.
Yeah, pirates are not smart.
I was
not
probably like,
everything
no,
vaporous.
and she already opened it.
Yeah, and it's like, I didn't mean to stage any of this.
It worked
did
out
it.
so perfectly, though.
So good.
Ironically, or I don't know the true meaning of that word, so maybe not. But this is
The
not
Alanis
the
Morissette
I was
first.
going to say, are you Alanis Morissette? Yeah.
Yes, I am. For this particular story, it's not the first time I've created a ghost ship in a Blades game.
I love
I
it.
used to play a Whisper, who summoned a bunch of ghost pirates, and then they stole the spirit of a boat, which then collapsed.
Perfect.
So
I love it. I love that there's basically the Flying Dutchman in this universe, though.
Wait,
That
so
is-
they removed the spirit of the boat from the boat, so the boat just went, I'm a pile of
Yeah.
wood now.
Yeah,
love
exactly.
Yeah, which is what you were doing when you like wrecked the area, because the captain had become part of the boat, or at least was possessing the boat, which over a long enough time makes it permanent.
It makes it hollow, right? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, like a
Hull.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah, that's smart. I like it.
Because it's got a hull.
Yeah.
Like the
And then you started
captain
to
would've
like
drank the
be like, the
potion.
ghost can't be here, so part of what was holding the boat together was going.
Just spill the life essence on the deck. The boat's like, I'm alive. I don't understand.
Roar!
That's great.
Part of the boat, part of the crew.
I liked it. I
part
thought it
of
was
the
cool.
boat.
But
It
also,
was
like,
delightful.
when you were
Thank
like-
you for running with that.
Mm-hmm.
when you were like, the ghosts can leave, I was like, the ghosts are insane enough, and they've been stuck here. They just want to stay here now.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
They
I
leave
think they might
on
want
their
to, but I
boat.
wanted to give them the
Yeah.
choice.
I really like that, though, that we accidentally created a Flying Dutchman.
Yeah. No, I'm
and
into
now
it.
it's
I-
just
It
gonna...
was completely unintended. I didn't think any of that was going to happen.
Can they be a faction?
Yeah.
Can we put them in... Can we do a faction time with them?
Like, technically, they are a faction in a different game. Like, they're a faction in the Leviathan Hunter Pirate game, right? Which is off
Yeah.
to the side.
Which is fine, because I plan on becoming a Leviathan hunter. Or a pirate. Hard to say.
Is that where Marin's going now? She's leaving
It's
the-
sort of tempting because she got her answers. I don't think she's ever been particularly interested in a smuggler or any of the stuff that's happening in the city. So, like, I think she probably would try and join up with the Leviathan Hunter. She misses being on a ship.
What about
And I
the other
think they're
two?
the most interesting thing that's going out there. And she probably still feels like a weird, I don't fully understand it, connection to the Leviathans. Because I imagine there's been like a lasting impact on her.
What
Yeah,
about Papa
it
and
works
Edwine?
both ways.
Yeah.
What would Papa and Edwine want to do next?
Go home and pretend this never happened. Nope. Just had bad dream.
It's what it
Maybe
goes
we
back
just
to Leaky
retire.
Bucket,
Get that
turns
stash up
over a
one more
stool,
level.
props up a table.
No.
Yes.
If that's all he's gonna do, Papa would put him to work. He's just like, oh, you're not doing anything. We've got some smuggling jobs to do. Come on. And Papa would go back to doing what he has always done, which is building up a business, the Canal Rats in this case, from nothing. He intends to be like a tier 5 gang.
That means Lauren can play Peep then.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Peep takes Marin's place.
It's great because you wouldn't have to change costume.
No, it's perfect. Hi everyone, I'm super excited to be here. Typical British. Oh, you're the best.
Perfect.
I think you're
Season two
so
sorted.
exciting.
Season 2 sorted.
It's my Peep impression. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Blades
I
in the
love
Dark 2, Curse of the Black Flag.
that.
I don't think I need to even say what Ruby.
Yeah,
is
you
doing
go.
next.
Drown yourself and become a vampire or something.
Peep becomes a grizzled barkeep.
Even
Things
if
I've
Ruby
seen.
doesn't become a vampire immediately, which is certainly a possibility, I'm sure she does bigger and bigger jobs that are more and more risky right up until the
Yeah.
point that she dies, and then the group are like, Why did we do this job? Why was Ruby so keen? We take it to Oh.
And 2 days later, finally.
And 2 days later...
It took like 3 suicide missions. Jeez, we're too good at this.
And 2 days later... Ruby, who walks back into the Canal Rats?
Edwine probably shits a brick because the priestess
Ouch.
walks in.
Oh no! Peep's gonna be so
Yes.
upset.
Yes.
Oh, LOL.
Oh yeah, Peep's seen them
Peep's
naked.
good contact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Peep likes her. She was.
Oh, he can
sounds
still like her.
like-
Yeah,
No.
she's joined the Canal Rats. Everything's fine.
Oh god.
Don't think too hard about where her soul is now. But now I have no enemies except Skurlock, probably. Really.
He's still your
Really, she
patron.
did you a favor.
You've
Yeah.
still done stuff for him. He's happy.
Mm. Still, I think in the background, continuing the work with the Canal Rats, Edwine researches like how to destroy demons, how to kill vampires. He bides his time. Maybe one day he gets killed by Skurlock.
Yeah, like that's
Are-
like if you fail that role at any point in researching, Skullock just shows up and kills you and is like, I'm the patron of this group.
Mm.
Are ghosts like life essences at all, or how does that work?
So the ghost is like your soul. And life essence is effectively like a it's like the interface between your body and your soul. Like it's that spark of energy that makes a person alive. But it's also the thing that makes your ghost like so vibrant.
Can you drain life essence from a ghost?
The making of life essence probably involves a lot of murder.
Yeah.
It's tier 6 rare, so I'll let you know that I can't tell you. But it's
Okay.
gonna involve dead people.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of
Well,
murder.
Along
What
the
if I already
way
have
to
dead
becoming a tier 5 gang in Doskvol, Papa's probably gonna lose it a couple of times, and his people might die. He'd, gang up with Ulf, but they've both killed a lot of people, is what I'm saying. So there you go. There's your supply.
Oh, I did see the question in chat. What was the potion that they wanted to give to Ulf? Very slow-acting poison.
No.
Satara's plan
Why
was
would
to
you do
have
that?
just complete and utter war, anarchy on the streets, and so on in Duskfall. So wanted Ulf to join the war, but before
And
he
then
could take
die.
over and cause stability, to die.
Mhm.
That
And
was
then
very
he'd be
important.
martyred, so there'd be a faction supporting him and fighting for him, but without a proper
That's why
leader.
I was
they don't
like,
fight
yeah,
amongst
okay, he just wants
themselves.
him to join the war. Wait, no, he's too powerful right now. He'd need to join the war and die, which is like he needs to drink a potion.
Huh.
It's a good way to make things more chaotic.
Was Skurlock, because originally Skurlock didn't necessarily intend to trap Satara, right? Which would be why he offered that then.
It was his pact was to provide Satara with the missing pieces in exchange for power. But it bound him to Satara and made him kind of like...
Okay.
It was an uneven partnership.
Yeah.
Which is why at the end he was like, right, I'm technically free now, but I can turn the tables.
Well, I'm
What
glad
happened
we
to
didn't do it in
Satara?
the end, I guess.
Hmm.
No, of
Yeah,
course,
now
we
he just
ended
is
up any
gonna
better
take
off.
over the city anyway.
Rin goes and fucks off and lives on a ship.
What happens to Satara?
Stays around.
Just
Skurlock
like chained
controls
up in his
her.
dungeon or whatever?
No, Skullock controls her.
So, question: was Satara the thing that was hanging around in the canals,
Yeah.
like behind us when we were creeping? Okay, is she related to the rising tide in Crow's Foot as well? That was her.
She's
Yeah,
a water
that makes
demon
sense.
of essence.
She's a
she-
water demon.
Yeah, she brought Ruby here as one of the catalysts for the events
Yeah.
to happen.
Okay.
And she was like, I'm paying attention to your group because I'm going to have Skurlock join your group, and through you, I'm going to cause the
Okay.
chaos and get the war to happen.
Yeah. I thought that might be it.
I told you something was following us.
Which is why when you took the thing to the Lampblacks and the leader died and the war started, you caused the war. Because the
I
Tara
didn't
wanted you
do
to.
anything. Lies is him.
I'm gonna say that the crows brought that on themselves because that
Yeah, they
was
did buy
their
the thing.
idea.
Exactly.
Don't shoot the messenger. Don't blame the messenger.
Papa doesn't feel bad.
Don't bring the messenger a demon-possessed artifact.
Pretty much.
That set the whole thing off, and we ended up with crows versus crows, and then one level up Lamblacks versus Red Sashes, then one level up Blue Coats versus Ulf, and then
Yeah,
another level
really-
up the Ministry
really did.
versus Leviathan Hunters. I think there was another level in the middle, something to do with the body parts. Lots of war. All the
God.
war.
It's war all the way down.
She is a demon of strife. She wanted war. What a
Doskvol
case.
Civil War.
And then she also caused the Scotland War.
Eh.
Yeah, good work. Good work there.
Oh, Edwine hates her then. He doesn't know, but he would.
I think it
Still
got mentioned
not-
in the scene you were in.
Yeah,
Okay,
it did get
Edwine
good.
hates her then. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
quite pleased with
No.
the decisions that he's made.
Then you should like Skurlock.
Like is a strong word.
Everyone is Shades of Grey.
As I said in chat, he's maybe the lesser of like 7 evils, but more likely he's just somewhere in the middle of the 7 evils. So there were worse evils, like Sitara, but there were probably also nicer evils.
Like the Circle of Flame.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know what the Circle of Flame were going to do with Sitara? Or
They
Sitara's
weren't going to
bits?
do anything with Star. They just wanted the body parts because there was stuff to study off them, and they could learn like some basic magics and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think they
Oh.
were rare and fancy, so they wanted.
Imagine like
enough.
just like a group of antiquarian archaeologists, but who focused on the arcane. It was
Fair
basically like a load of people who are kind of rich anyway, who invest in these artifacts and get some powers out of them. They also
Well-
happened to all relatively, because they're powerful in the city, tend to be also part of the Church of Ecstasy. That's just a side effect, but
I
What
feel like
was
they're
the
the kind
ritual
of the
they
kind
were
of people
preparing?
like.
they were trying to do a ritual to connect with the being that the body parts were from.
Oh, okay.
They didn't know. So what would have happened is they'd have kind of ended up with a vague summoning of a shadow of Sitara to talk to, and Sitara would have been like, "Hi." Why
and
did you
then
bring me
probably
here?
would have ended up killing them to get her bits back or something.
Mm.
Yeah, maybe.
Like I feel like they're it's like so it's a bunch of rich people, and I feel like they're just playing at cult. They're like they dress up in fancy robes
little
and they
bit.
chant and draw circles.
Like,
and,
they know what they're
some of
about.
it's magic, but it like all the weird like I feel like they're in a really fancy way. And if Skurlock could see them, he's like, "God, these are idiots."
They still know what they're about, but like they didn't have any malign purpose for it. Like they didn't have a big overarching plan. Like they maybe had individual single people having plans,
They're
but
playing at cults. They're like, "Oh yeah, we're doing like secret magics." And Skurlock's like, "I'm gonna take over the city with this stuff instead of just being like, ooh, pretty lights. We're important."
how long would it have been before one of the circle went up sticking the parts themselves? They wouldn't have. They took all the precautions. That's why they were storing them and Ruby couldn't feel them. Because they were storing them warded.
Yeah, they would have slipped them eventually.
Maybe. They knew what they
I
were
had to
about.
like do a roll for.
Yeah, you had to like really push your power. That's because you already knew vaguely what they were, like you'd felt them before.
The next question is, what would have happened if Ruby would have gotten the heart into her?
Sitara would have just fully controlled your body as an extension of Sitara. You'd have been dead. And
Yeah.
Sitara would have walked your body to her.
Lovely.
That would have been unfortunate.
Yeah.
And then she'd have
That's
just
a
been
cool way
like,
to go
okay,
out.
heart, and just pulled the heart out of your body and you'd have died. Again. Properly.
I mean, it would like Skurlock's sitting around waiting for us. We turn up. One of us has like blood coming out the chest. One like has this weird eye. One's got a hand stitched on. We're like, we
and then
have
Marin's
come
just
to
in front,
you.
like, so something went wrong.
Like, I tried to stop them. I swear.
It would have been interesting if Marin had tried to do that, because I'm not sure.
Oh God.
Yeah,
I
the
think
Leviathan.
Leviathan would have won. Technically, it's an extension of the Leviathan, although only a very weak one.
That would have been a
So
twist.
cool.
It would have been a roll-off, I imagine.
Tara
Leviathan
like,
would have won.
yes, I have control of. Wait, what the hell are you? Oh no.
Well,
Would've been
Sitara
really
was already
interesting.
like that when she first met her.
Yeah. It would have been something like an 8-die versus 5-die fortune roll, which could go either way.
Probably the 8 die way, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, but it's not that big a difference if you're just looking for a 6.
We could do it right now.
Sure, who would win in a fight? Satara versus...
8. I'll do 8. I'll do Satara. Wait, Satara's 5 or
No,
8?
Satara's a 5.
I'll do the 5.
And how much is my Leviathan
8.
friend? 8. All right. I literally can't roll that many dice. It goes up to 6.
Yeah, 6 is normally the... Roll a 6, and then...
No, I'm gonna just roll 8d6.
You can just roll.
Yeah, the last 2 are slightly different. Okay.
I get a
Crit.
crit.
Crit. 6.
That
Oh
is
my
not a
God.
crit.
I rolled a
11511. Huh.
Yeah, I beat
So,
the crap
like-
out of her.
I like the pattern. That's
The
neat.
Leviathan has potency, but is at a distance, so it's less likely to just destroy Satara.
But it got a crit.
So those last 2 dice were kind of like extra, so I wouldn't necessarily count it as a crit necessarily, but they are extra dice because, like...
You want me to just
That's
roll
defense.
6 dice? And
no,
then 2
the
separately?
first 6,
No.
if she crit on the first 6, it would have destroyed it. The last 2 are like a defense dice. They don't count for an attack, but if she's losing, they'll count for the defense. Kind of how I'm working in my head.
Sure.
But she got a 6. So Satara's heart would have been extremely damaged, and it would have really set Satara back. The heart might have even been destroyed. It wouldn't have
Yeah,
affected
5
Satara,
versus-
but it would have destroyed the heart, maybe.
Fun.
Whew.
Then we would have gotten to see lots of Leviathan blood earlier
Yeah, that would
on.
have been fascinating.
Mm. Well,
This was fun.
Comes the
I had-
giant
I had
monster
fun.
battling
I like
the
these
magic
characters
heart.
a lot.
Yeah, I think it
Me too.
turned out really good. It's
They're a
weird
mess.
because Blades is like meant for you to swap characters a lot, so it's kind of a weird way that we had to play it around, other
Yeah.
than like Papa and Peep. But
Yeah, it definitely made
and
things a little
obviously
bit harder.
all our guests were very awesome too. So I think like everything played out really well, and I really liked it a lot. This is a fun season. Now, question for you all in regards to Blades in the Dark in general. Like, what is your take on the system itself?
Not my favorite. I've talked about that before. I find for me, it takes me a little bit too much out of being in character because of the amount of meta level decision making I need to make.
I like that the rules are fairly simple, but they are too like rigid. You have to follow them, and it's hard to deviate and actually like do wacky stuff because you're busy keeping to the
Like-
system.
I know that the counter argument to that is, oh, you can deviate, but the problem is, and I totally agree with Bentham here, is that because it's such a very carefully constructed like system of small gears that all work very well in concert, if you deviate, you've got to be very careful how you deviate, or you throw the entire system and balance out of whack.
Yeah.
It does what it does very well, but it can't do other things.
Yeah. I like it for what it is. If I want to play this, I'm happy with it. But it's like a very specific type of like a drink or a food. Like I don't want it most of the time. Like sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I really feel like a Blades, but most of the time I'm like, I'll have something else.
What about you, Josh?
yeah, it's not my favorite system for the aforementioned reasons, but in general, I do quite like it for the kind of fun abilities that you can get that really start to feel quite powerful. And then alongside that kind of implicit agreement that you're gonna end up with some traumas and you're gonna have to play this like damaged criminal thing. So like going down that character progression route is really cool when that's the flavor that you're into. And yeah.
I think I would find it a lot easier to play this particular system as a one-shot because I feel like the consequences often feel very like, oh my god, again, like it gets very piling. And so when it's a one-shot, it's like it's a lot easier to drive your character like a stolen car when it's a one-shot. And I think that this system benefits from that.
See,
I think for me, I absolutely love this system, but I think I would prefer it to be a system that I play offline, just because I think like the conversations and the metagaming and things of that sort that kind of have to happen with a system like this in order for you to ensure that you're doing the best action for your entire group is something that I don't feel is as compelling for an online show, especially for a channel like ours where we're really heavy on the RP and the interactions of like RP with one another. Although I know EE did do a lot of great things about letting us do RP with other characters, even though it wasn't really part of the system, which kind of made a cohesive story. I think if we just played with how the rules are, then we would miss out on that like RP element, I think, to some extent.
Yeah, I think you're right, because there is that rigid order of you do the score, you do the downtime, you do the consequences, you do the setup for the next score, and then maybe you go off and grab some turf or something. Like, those are the things that everyone wants to do in a heist game, but then in between there's those RP spaces that aren't explicitly in the system, and so often they get missed out.
Yeah.
I think,
we did a good job of even doing the RP when it came to like rolling. We just kind of like, we waited for the roll and then we did the RP, because you kind of have to roll first to know what the RP is going to be like. Whereas in other systems, like a GM will give you a benefit because you RP'd really well, right? And like now you get like
I think it's also tricky in this one because the system, I think, encourages the GM to lay on a lot of consequences because any consequences can be resisted, as opposed, and so then you also get this weird retcon where you have to keep track really, really precisely of what actually ended up happening in the fiction versus what was resisted and would have happened in the fiction but didn't. And so
we
I
had
think
a few things like that occurred where we're like, no, that was resisted, remember? And then we're like, oh yeah.
I think hard to one of the questions that comes up in chat, which I think is a very good point, which is I think, you know, it ties in with why Lauren doesn't like the system, is the whole like, oh, maybe there should be a mechanic to get rid of traumas. And I think the important part about Blades and a lot of like Forged in the Dark games in general is that Forged in the Dark, and especially Blades, is all about the downward spiral. It's about like, I love the world building in Blades. I think the world's fantastic. It's a lovely dystopia that exists in this very nice niche intersection between a number of different genres.
World was fun to play around in.
Yeah, and like the entire point of the game is about the downward spiral and how your people like live the downward spiral, and quite importantly, although we don't touch on it because it's the end point of your character, where your character ends up and your stash, because your stash is like you end up running a small business and you settle in. Like we could see Papa owning like a tobacco joint where he spends his days talking about the time he was in a gang, etc., and how he met this weird demon and so on. Or we could see Marin, like maybe with a large stash, buy a boat and actually become a pirate with her own little crew. Or I can't imagine Ruby retiring, I'll be honest. Or Edwin retiring and becoming like a tinkerer.
Ruby retires from life.
It's interesting because to me that is something I don't often care a lot about for my character. I don't tend to think that far ahead for my character. I'm like with Marin, it's like I don't actually like that to drive a goal at that distance doesn't appeal to me that much as a player. The shorter term goal of like get to the ship, get answers is far more compelling.
When I was playing it,
I don't personally engage a lot with that mechanic of like the long term game. I would also argue though that idea of, I don't think that there should be a way to get rid of trauma. That's not how trauma works. But I think the system has a little bit of a conflict of simultaneously wanting to be about the downward spiral of your character and their traumas, but also wanting you to really care about moving your gang up tiers and improving. And so it has this conflict where you're trying to, the narrative side of me wants to like drive my character down, but then I kind of have to give a shit about this other stuff that requires like sort of a thing.
Like when I was playing it a long time ago, we didn't really think about like where our character's going to end up with the stash thing. Like I agree with you on that, and we focus very much on trying to get our gang up tiers, etc., and playing that. And I feel it's very important to remember that it's still about the downward spiral, about how your characters are going slowly out of it. And while I really like that and how I like it, how it interfaces with it's a dystopia. No one is awesome in a dystopia. Everyone is a horrible downward spiral. It's a horrible world to live, and you're part of that world. The game could maybe explain it a little better because it is the first Forged in the Dark game.
Yeah, a lot of it, the biggest thing for me tends to be that metagaming. I like, it's interesting that you talk about enjoying it, Maggie. I don't like, that's just never something like if I'm spending this much time thinking about what I'm going to roll, I'm very much just hurry up and I don't want to make that many decisions before I have to make a roll. And so I think that's something that I'm like, I just want to be in character this whole time. So I don't want to be doing that metagaming.
That's exactly why I find it when I want this, I want it, and when I don't want it, I don't want it, kind of thing. Like, I think I sit somewhere in between with Like sometimes I'm very much I'll take this. You know, we can talk lots of metagame and stuff. We don't have to be in character. I can take off the stress of having to be in character all the time, and I can sit back and be like, talk about the rules. And like,
because D&D, I can like play with the numbers. I'm like, the statistics, the probability in this situation that I will beat this monster's AC.
Yeah. Like, if you like that, then Blades is super that, because Blades isn't like just a D20, which is very flat. It's how do I trade my consequence, and how am I dealing with this, and what's going to happen, etc. going forwards.
And I think that's what pulls you out of the immersion.
For me, that is very much, it's very metagaming. You can't do that in character. So those are very like player level decisions you're making that I'm personally, not as a player, not particularly drawn to. I'd rather be like, I'm using this move, I'm going to roll my 2d6, and we'll play, but then I get to have fun with the consequences.
I think that the system itself, though, is so well designed that I still occasionally am like, I could totally go for Blades right now, because it's just such a lovely working system where everything
really
works, and it's
tiny
like,
gears.
From a game design standpoint, I sit there going, this is a really interesting like clockwork mechanism, like a cuckoo pops out, and it's like, it all works so beautifully.
Yeah, the clock system is really interesting, and it kind of allows you to create these other elements from as a player and as a GM, which I think is neat. And then the behind the scenes, the way that the factions work and the faction time stuff that we did, I think was really intriguing to me, because it's like there are all these moving pieces that are happening behind the scenes at the same time that we're doing things. It's kind of cool. But yeah, it is very, very mechanical and systematic. And so if you're kind of like having whiplash of like, I'm in character, then I'm out of character, then I'm in character, then I'm out of character.
It's got to stay on these rails to do its thing, and then it does it really well.
Yeah.
I think you've got to play as a gang rather than as your
these
character
sheets
if you
are
want to
amazing.
like succeed. The sheets. My God, the sheets.
The sheets are so good.
Who made these? Can I hire them to make sheets for every game I play ever?
Right. There's
They've done I think 3 or 4 sheets on Roll20 now.
Oh, let's play
what
those
What else have they
games.
done? We're going to play that next.
The other Forge of the Dark games, which are all relatively similar.
Damn
Sorry.
it.
I do want to play some of those other ones. The other
what else is there? There's the kind of space heist one.
Yeah.
Or space smuggler one.
Yeah, you've got
two official ones that Evil Hat has published so
Scum
far.
and Villainy.
But there's a lot of hacks
and bands. Bands
that other people have done, like Mutants in the Night.
Blades.
I think that's still around. There's a few other ones that people have written. If you go to like, there's been a bunch on Kickstarter and stuff. They're just not officially done by Evil Hat.
We do have a one-shot we did of
this,
which you can find on our YouTube channel. Scum and Villainy is a little less consequence-focused. It's not quite as dystopia, but like it's very much this is generic fantasy setting that's totally not Star Wars.
Totally not Star Wars honest.
This I haven't played yet, but it's also basically like you constantly play different characters, and it's about a legion, an army falling back after losing a fight with the undead like horde of bad guy. And you constantly play different characters, and then like in downtime you play like the commanders, and then in actual mission time you play like the troops. As far as I'm aware,
that's an interesting.
It's like you're a band of Blades. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly. I really like the idea. I'm totally down to play this sometime.
Sounds like a very good use of the Blades mechanics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shifting perspective.
More of a focus on expendable people, where it's like, they'll probably die.
I do want to put, we mentioned it briefly, but I want to put more emphasis on it though. The best thing about Blades in the Dark for me is the setting. It is fantastic.
Very cool.
There is so much flavor and so much lore that goes into it.
It gives me Warhammer
because it naturally
vibes.
Evolved.
Kind of like how much lore there is, yeah.
Yeah, it gives me Warhammer vibes, mad style. It has some correlations as well.
Like it leaves enough bits unmentioned while giving you so much information about the world that you get to inform those bits.
It's because the setting is the result of an RPG campaign, so it's not like someone being, this would be a cool concept, and then building the world. It's like, wait, what happens now? I guess this, and then that. Oh god, but then this happens.
So those you
then
don't
everyone's
know,
in cities with lightning barriers around them. How does that even work?
Game of Apocalypse World or something, I think, where...
Oh no, it was Dungeon World.
Wasn't it?
Dungeon World, where the wizard of the party wanted to break the Gates of Death, and someone else was trying to stop him in the party, and they rolled off, and he beat them by like 1 on the dice or something, and so the Gates of Death broke and stopped working. And then they were like, and he was like, right, thought experiment, what happens in like 800 years time after this? Well, I guess nobody dies anymore, so the ghosts stick around. And that's how
Sun
it-
got shattered, so it's always night now, and then leviathans and demons
Mhm.
everywhere.
And they've got to
just
somehow have
extrapolating it.
survived in this apocalypse.
So everyone eats
I guess
mushrooms.
and mushrooms and the emperor and like centralized.
And there's these luminous plants,
Like-
but I guess they're toxic because most like photosynthetic like life like that generates life in like a loop. It's toxic.
Lightning
So
barriers
well,
to
yeah.
defend against the ghosts, and every time someone died, there'd be bells rung and animals trained to find them so they could be disposed
Pretty
of.
great.
And I think because it evolved so naturally, that's made it so unique and interesting,
Mhm.
and not so tropey as
Yeah.
a lot of settings are just by default.
Very
It's really cool.
I enjoyed how the beginning of this started and how the end of it ended. This is just
So those of
fantastic.
you who don't know, I gave the team a very, very strong speech at the beginning saying, please don't touch anything too weird at the start.
Which
because
sucks when you're a whisper.
Because every Blades game becomes weird.
I like that he was like, be whatever class you like, but avoid Whisper because we don't want to get into the weird stuff too soon. Everyone said I want to be this or Whisper, except me. I'm like, Leech. Leech sounds good.
I don't
Yeah.
think I said. Maybe I said a whisper. I don't
You did.
remember.
I
You did.
definitely said
Did I?
whisper.
Yeah, it was
Everyone
three,
wanted to be
three
Whisper.
people said maybe Whisper, and I was like, okay, if you want Whisper that badly, totally have a Whisper, but bear in mind it's going to be
What if we were
starting off.
all whispers?
Yes.
The problem is, like, that's an amusing, like, one-shot or something, but the problem with Blades is that as a one-shot, it kind of is Like, the entire thing is about that progression.
Yeah, like
Next
you
Blades-
said, stuff gets crazy once you start adding in the ghosts and all that stuff. I think the way that we ended up doing it was really good.
Yeah, that's why I was like,
Next
you
Blades
need this,
game.
this is going to go...
Next Blades game, all Whispers, cult.
Yes, because that's where we started with the campaign. All of us were like, we want to play a cult EE. We want to be weirdos.
Yeah, we kind of were
Yeah,
into
that's
that.
the
Wanna
problem.
be the-
Like, being true to Doskvol, most things that are arcane are, like, desperate. And it'd be like, you would all be dead pretty quick.
Well,
Yeah.
what if we were like newbie, like, you know, just we think we're trying to do all these cool
That's
cult
actually why I
stuff, but
gave
we're
you the
not
whole,
yet.
like, you go down into the sewer and you find this dead cult. I was like, this is what
Yeah.
a level 1 group does when they start off as all Whispers cult.
We
That
just
was-
become a big conglomeration of a
Easter egg.
monster.
Yeah, that was my Easter egg. This is what happens.
It would be a good one shot though, and I think you were right to drive us to picking
Yeah.
the characters that we did and going less weird.
Yeah. Because
Really,
again,
in hindsight, it probably should have just been a cutter, but you know, it's fine.
well,
Yeah,
that's
you
the thing about
pretty
you can
much
cross
took
class
all
as much as
cutter
you want.
abilities.
Yeah.
Well, you can cross class
but-
as much as you want.
Yeah, but I would have gotten slightly more useful weapons than for punching.
Oh, you can always trade them out. You just need to speak to the GM.
Yeah, well, you know, we didn't, so.
But like, I think it's important to be like, because Whispers are often like, I'm not based in the world. I'm based in how I want to blah 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 weirdness. Being normal people in a dystopian setting is important because it's how that dystopia has brought you up to then react to the world. Whereas I don't think Whispers often have that. If you have a whole party of Whispers being cult focused, it's like,
Yeah.
we're the cult.
No, I agree. I wouldn't actually advocate for all of us being whispers, and like any good system with playbooks, you can't have multiple people with the same playbook. Like that's.
But there are multiple occult types of classes. Like
Oh yeah, we could have leaned into it
And
more if we
Again,
wanted.
one of the things I love about the system is you can cross class as much as you want. When I played it, I played a not a whisper because I was told to avoid being a whisper. I played a slide and then took whisper abilities as things went on. So I was a social person who threw lightning.
As you do.
Yeah.
So wait, you were Palpatine.
I don't know. And then she gouged her eye out for knowledge. It was weird.
I don't
It's
know.
like Palpatine would do that.
Wait a minute, we've already seen that.
Copycat.
I did it before you.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure I did it before the Norse sagas though, so we're okay.
Yeah, did you do it before Oedipus? Like eye gouging, old hat.
Cliche.
Oedipus learned his
There's
stuff
no
off
way to get
Migwa.
knowledge. That's how it works. You gotta get that knowledge.
It's to see things.
Yeah.
That you wouldn't see.
Anyway, that's a good after show. Thank you for watching.
Yeah.
We go now.
Yeah, and if you've never watched an after show before, we do all kinds of stuff like this where we talk about behind the scenes, like what our characters are thinking, or what we personally think about things. And We usually talk about our levels up and stuff like that. But since it's the end of season, we're not really talking about that. But I'm taking all of those.
I talked about my level up. I put 4 points in insight.
I'm
I want to
gonna
get
be a
study
vampire.
3 or maybe survey 2.
Yeah, I got
Two.
Sway 1,
I'm a vampire.
which is something that Pepper's needed for the entire campaign.
Sway 1.
Sway 1.
Good. Good.
Pepper, the talky person, finally got Sway 1.
He's not so
Yeah.
talky. He knows a lot of people. That's all it is.
Oh yeah, he just knows a lot of people. Yeah.
I have
Yeah, there
3
we go. We'll
sway,
be tier
1
5 in no
consort,
time.
3 command, and 3 attune.
Yeah.
I rolled a
Whereas,
lot of
I'm-
desperate rolls.
Relatively well balanced. I think I have 3 dots in everything, so my resistant rolls are all the same.
Yeah, that's the thing about Ruby. She is so good with ghosts.
Yeah.
And then you like make a prowess resist. Wait, Ruby, do you want to drink that potion first?
And my prowess resist is 3.
Okay, your insight resist is 1?
2.
2, okay.
But that's only because I get the added benefits of the other thing that
Yeah.
gives me plus 1 to
yeah.
everything.
That helps us all a lot. That was
Yeah.
the best. I think that was the best ability that we took.
If you're thinking about your group ability, get that one. It's good.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Oh, now we're done. I'm going to look at what the vampire does in the book.
Oh, I
It's
did. It's interesting.
great.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.